The car door slammed shut before I could grab my wallet from the dashboard. Jessica gunned the engine and spun gravel as she drove away, leaving me standing on a mountain road 40 kilometers from the nearest village. "Let's see what kind of man you really are," she'd shouted through the window. "My name is Michael. I'm 32 years old, senior systems architect at Cloud Tech Solutions in Denver. I design enterprise software infrastructure for Fortune 500 companies, with a specialty in international data security protocols. I speak 3 languages, hold 2 engineering degrees, and manage a portfolio of clients across North America and Europe." What Jessica didn't know was that survival isn't about being the loudest person in the room. It's about being the most systematic. We'd been married for 6 days when Jessica decided to test my masculinity on a winding mountain road in rural Romania. The honeymoon had been her idea. "Somewhere exotic and challenging," she'd said. "I want to see how you handle yourself in unfamiliar territory." I should have recognized the warning signs earlier. Jessica worked in sales at a pharmaceutical company, made $78,000 a year, and had strong opinions about what constituted real strength. She admired men who were loud, aggressive, physically dominant, the kind of guys who solved problems by raising their voices or throwing money around. I wasn't that type. I solved problems by understanding systems, gathering information, and finding optimal solutions. It had served me well professionally. My last project implemented security protocols for a $2.3 billion merger. But Jessica saw it as weakness. "You overthink everything," she'd complained during our engagement. "Sometimes you need to just act like a man and take charge." The Romania trip was supposed to prove something to her. We'd rented a Dacia Logan in Bucharest and planned to drive through the Carpathian Mountains, staying in small villages, roughing it in ways that would demonstrate my practical capabilities. But Jessica had different plans. We'd been driving for 3 hours through increasingly remote terrain when she suddenly pulled over on a narrow mountain road. Dense forest on both sides, no cell service, no traffic for the past hour. "Get out," she said. "What?" I said, "Get out. I want to see if you're actually capable of taking care of yourself, or if you're just another spoiled American who needs everything handed to him." I looked around. We were somewhere in the Figueres Mountains, at least 40 kilometers from the village we'd passed. The GPS showed nothing but wilderness in every direction. "Jessica, this isn't funny. We're in the middle of nowhere." Exactly. A real man would figure it out. My ex-boyfriend Derek? He would have loved this challenge. He was a Marine, you know. Knew how to handle himself in any situation. Derek again. She'd been comparing me to Derek since our 3rd date. Derek the Marine, Derek the alpha male, Derek who'd broken up with her because she was too high maintenance but remained her gold standard for masculinity. "I'll be back in exactly 1 hour," she announced, looking at her watch. "If you're standing right here when I return, maybe you're worth keeping. If you've wandered off crying for help, well, I guess I'll know what kind of man I married." She reached across me and opened my door. "Your hour starts now." I stepped out of the car, turned to grab my backpack from the floor, and heard the engine rev. Jessica was already shifting into gear. "Wait," I started, but she was gone. I stood on that empty mountain road watching the dust settle and felt something I hadn't experienced since college. Complete abandonment by someone I'd trusted. But abandonment, I realized, was just another system to understand. I took inventory. Romanian mountains, late afternoon, temperature dropping, no wallet, no phone, no identification. I was wearing hiking boots, jeans, and a fleece jacket, adequate for the current conditions, but insufficient for overnight exposure. The road ran roughly east-west along a ridgeline. Based on our driving pattern, the village of Zarnesti was approximately 35-40 kilometers behind us. Ahead, the road continued into higher elevations and more remote territory. Jessica's 1-hour deadline was obviously fictional. She wasn't coming back. This wasn't a test of my survival skills. It was an abandonment disguised as a challenge, which meant I needed to treat it like any other engineering problem. Define the objectives, assess available resources, develop a systematic approach. Objective 1, immediate survival, shelter, water, warmth. Objective 2, medium-term sustainability, food, navigation, communication. Objective 3, long-term resolution, return to civilization, deal with Jessica. I started walking east toward the village, but kept my eyes open for immediate opportunities. Survival wasn't about heroic gestures. It was about recognizing patterns and exploiting available resources. 20 minutes down the road, I found what I was looking for. A logging path branching into the forest, with fresh tire tracks and the distant sound of machinery. The logging operation was a family business. 3 men cutting timber with equipment that looked like it dated from the 1980s. They spoke minimal English, but they understood American, lost, and help. Petru, the eldest, was 54 years old and had been logging these mountains for 30 years. His sons, Alexandru and Radu, worked the chainsaws while he operated the truck. They were heading back to their village, Moetiu de Jos, in 2 hours. American wife? Petru asked in broken English. Ex-wife, I said. He laughed and clapped me on the shoulder. Good, Romanian women better. Moietiu de Jos was a village of 847 people, nestled in a valley below Piatra Craiului National Park. Petru took me to the local guest house, where Maria, the owner, spoke excellent English and had lived in Chicago for 5 years in the 1990s. Your wife left you on the mountain? She asked, incredulous. Technically, I got out of the car voluntarily. But she drove away? She drove away. Maria shook her head. American women, no understanding of loyalty. She gave me a room for free the first night, fed me soup and bread, and let me use her computer to contact the U.S. Embassy in Bucharest. The consul was sympathetic but practical. Without identification, financial resources, or proof of citizenship, I was essentially stateless until they could verify my identity. Can you contact your wife? The consul asked via Skype. I'm not sure I want to. Sir, she has your passport, your credit cards, your return tickets. I understand the situation. There's also the matter of your tourist visa. You're only authorized to stay in Romania for 90 days. If you overstay without proper documentation, I assured him I'd resolve the situation quickly, but I was already thinking longer term. The next morning, I called CloudTech's emergency line. My boss, Karen, was furious. Michael, what the hell is going on? Jessica called yesterday saying you'd been in some kind of accident. She's flying back to Denver today. I wasn't in an accident. She left me on a mountain road as some kind of test. Silence. She what? I explained the situation. Karen, who'd met Jessica at office parties, wasn't entirely surprised. I never liked her attitude, Karen said. Always talking down to you in public. So what do you need? Access to my emergency funds, temporary replacement documents through the embassy, and time to sort this out. How much time? I looked out the window at the Carpathian Peaks, thinking about Petru's comment about Romanian women, about Maria's kindness to a stranger, about the systematic way this village operated as a community. I'm not sure yet. Within 48 hours, I had $5,000 transferred to a Romanian bank account, temporary travel documents, and a plan. But instead of booking the next flight to Denver, I rented a small apartment above Maria's guest house for $200 per month. You're staying? Maria asked. Temporarily, I need to think. What I really needed to do was work. And Romania, it turned out, was an excellent place for a systems architect to work remotely. I'd been in Moietiu for 2 weeks when Andrea walked into Maria's cafe. She was 28, a software developer from Brasov who was visiting her grandmother in the village. She spoke fluent English, had a degree in computer science from Babes Bolyai University, and was currently unemployed because the Bucharest tech company she'd worked for had gone bankrupt. You're the American who was abandoned by his wife, she said, sitting at my table uninvited. News travels fast. Small village, Maria told everyone. She gestured at my laptop. What are you working on? I showed her the CloudTech interface I was debugging, a security protocol for international banking transactions. This is impressive, she said after studying the code for 10 minutes. But you have a vulnerability in your authentication sequence. She was right. I'd been staring at the same problem for 3 days and she'd spotted it in 10 minutes. Would you like a job? I asked. Working for you? Working with me. That conversation changed everything. Andrea became my local partner, helping me navigate Romanian business regulations, while I helped her develop advanced security protocols. Within a month, we'd formed TechSecure Romania SRL, a legitimate Romanian company specializing in cybersecurity consulting. Our first client was a Bucharest bank that needed to upgrade their international transfer systems. The contract was worth $47,000, paid half up front. By month 3, we had 6 employees and a waiting list of clients. Romania's tech sector was growing rapidly, but most companies lacked expertise in advanced security protocols. We filled that gap. By month 6, TechSecure Romania was generating $89,000 monthly revenue. We'd moved operations to a converted warehouse in Brasov, hired 12 developers, and established partnerships with companies across Eastern Europe. But I still hadn't contacted Jessica. 18 months after Jessica drove away, I received an email from a law firm in Denver. Mr. Peterson, we represent Jessica Peterson in the matter of your presumed death. Please contact our office immediately to resolve outstanding legal issues. Presumed death, interesting? I called the number. The lawyer Mitchell Brooks sounded surprised to hear from me. Mr. Peterson, your wife filed a missing person report 14 months ago. When Romanian authorities couldn't locate you and you failed to return to the United States, she petitioned the court to declare you legally dead. I see. There are significant financial implications, sir. Life insurance, property transfers, asset liquidation. Mrs. Peterson has been managing your estate under the assumption that you deceased. I thought about Jessica back in our Denver condo, spending my life insurance money, selling my car, probably dating someone new, someone more like Derek. Mr. Brooks, I need to understand exactly what assets Mrs. Peterson has liquidated. The list was comprehensive. My $320,000 life insurance policy paid out 8 months ago. My investment portfolio worth $147,000 transferred to her name. Our jointly owned condo sold for $290,000. My vintage Mustang sold for $18,000. Even my professional equipment, computers, servers, development tools, sold through an estate liquidation company. Total value of assets Jessica had claimed $775,000. She's been quite thorough, I said. Sir, if you're indeed alive, this creates serious legal complications. Insurance fraud, asset misappropriation, possibly criminal charges. I understand. I'll be in touch. I hung up and looked around my office in Brasov. TechSecure Romania was now generating $127,000 monthly. Our employee count had reached 18. We'd just signed a $340,000 contract with the Romanian Ministry of Defense. More importantly, Andrea and I had gotten married 6 months ago. Small ceremony, just her family and our employees. We'd bought a house in the hills above Brasov, modern but traditional, with views of the Carpathians. Jessica had tested whether I was a real man. The answer, it turned out, was yes, but not the kind of man she'd expected. I hired Bucharest law firm Popescu and Associates to handle the international legal aspects. Elena Popescu was 45, spoke perfect English, and specialized in cross-border asset recovery. This is complex, she said after reviewing the documentation. Your wife committed fraud in multiple jurisdictions, but recovery will take time. I have time. What outcome do you want? Everything back, plus damages, plus criminal charges if applicable. Elena smiled. I like working with systematic clients. The first package arrived at Jessica's apartment in Denver on a Tuesday morning in March. She'd moved to a luxury complex in Cherry Creek, paid for with my insurance money. Package 1 contained summons for federal court in Colorado. Injunction freezing all assets acquired through the fraudulent death claim. International arrest warrant application. Notice of asset seizure proceedings. No return address, no explanation. Jessica called the law firm frantically. Mitchell Brooks explained that someone claiming to be her dead husband was suing her for insurance fraud and demanding return of all assets. But that's impossible, she told him. Michael is dead. He disappeared in Romania. The authorities confirmed it. Ma'am, if your husband is indeed alive and can prove it, you've committed serious federal crimes. Package 2 arrived 1 week later. Freeze orders for all her bank accounts. Seizure notice for the Cherry Creek apartment. Documentation showing TechSecure Romania's revenue and my legal residence in Brasov. Photos from my wedding to Andrea with Romanian legal witnesses. Jessica's world collapsed in 48 hours. The insurance company froze her accounts pending investigation. The FBI opened a fraud case. Immigration authorities revoked her passport pending resolution. Package 3 was personal. Keys to a 1995 Honda Civic. The only asset she was permitted to keep, along with a handwritten note. Dear Jessica, thank you for showing me what kind of man I could be. Abandoning me on that mountain road was the best thing you ever did for me. You wanted to test my survival skills. I survived, built a company, found a wife who values intelligence over volume, and discovered that real strength isn't about dominating people. It's about building something that lasts. The $775,000 you stole will be returned to my accounts within 30 days. The criminal charges will proceed according to federal law. The Honda is yours to keep. Consider it a graduation gift from survival school. I hope you learned something too. Your former husband, Michael Peterson, CEO, TechSecure Romania citizen of Romania, as of last month. Jessica served 18 months in federal prison for insurance fraud and asset theft. She was released last year and works as a cashier at a grocery store in suburban Denver. Her parole officer requires her to report all employment and cannot leave Colorado without permission. The $775,000 was returned with 6% annual interest, totaling $823,000. I donated it to a Romanian-American educational foundation that provides technology scholarships for rural students. TechSecure Romania now operates in 4 countries and employs 67 people. Annual revenue exceeded $2.1 million last year. We're expanding into AI security protocols and have contracts with 3 national governments. Andrea and I have 2 children, David, 18 months, and Maria, named after the guest house owner, 6 months. They're bilingual, hold dual citizenship, and will grow up understanding that strength comes from competence, not domination. I return to Moiechu de Jos every summer. Petru, now 59, still runs his logging operation with his sons. Maria expanded her guest house and hired 3 employees. The village has fiber internet now. A project TechSecure Romania funded and installed. You became Romanian man, Petru told me last summer, watching me split firewood behind his house. How can you tell? Romanian man knows how to survive. American man needs everything provided. You learned survival. He was right. Jessica's test taught me something she'd never intended. That real masculinity isn't about proving yourself to people who don't value you. It's about building something meaningful with people who do. Last month, I received an email from Jessica's parole officer. She'd applied for permission to visit Romania, to apologize in person and see how you're doing. I declined the request. Some tests you only need to take once. 5 years after Jessica drove away, I understand what really happened on that mountain road. She didn't abandon me to test my strength. She abandoned me because she'd already decided I wasn't strong enough. The irony is that abandonment was exactly what I needed. Jessica measured strength by volume, aggression, and control. But systems architecture teaches you that the strongest systems are often the quietest ones. Redundant, distributed, resistant to single points of failure. Marriage to Jessica was a single point of failure. When she removed herself from the system, everything became more stable. Romania taught me that survival isn't about fighting the environment. It's about adapting to it, finding opportunities within constraints, building sustainable solutions. Jessica wanted a husband who would dominate problems through force. Instead, she created a husband who solves problems through systematic thinking and builds lasting solutions. TechSecure Romania didn't succeed because I was stronger than the competition. It succeeded because I understood systems that others didn't, built relationships others couldn't, and created value that others wouldn't. The note I sent Jessica was true. Abandoning me was the best thing she ever did. Not because it proved my masculinity to her, but because it freed me to discover what masculinity actually means. Real strength isn't about passing someone else's test. It's about building something so solid that you don't need anyone's validation to know it works. Subscribe if you agree.